If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Excuse me, can I help you?
Yeah, we're from the NYPD, investigating a kidnapping and a rape.
You're out of your jurisdiction. You have no authority here.
The owner of this car kidnapped a 10-year-old boy. Need to speak to your supervisor.
Der Polizei, ich bin den Sache.
Versteh. Sag mal, sie muss gehen beim der Rebbe. Übernimmt den der lange Weg und nicht beim Schild.
Da. If you'll come to the administrative office, the Grand Rebbe will help you any way he can.
You can tell the Grand Rebbe he can kiss my tuchus. My Yiddish is a little rusty, but I'm pretty sure they just told our friend here to keep us away from the synagogue. Why don't we go to temple?
In New York City, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. These are their stories.
Hey guys, welcome to another Munch My Benson. My name is Adam. I am here in New York City. It's still very warm. We're expecting huge tropical weather to come through here tonight and tomorrow. We're getting the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, so I'm cautiously waiting to do absolutely nothing tomorrow. How are things up north, Josh Dugan?
Well, I'm not about to get destroyed by a hurricane or the remnants of a hurricane named after Hollywood iconoclast Ida Lupino. So I guess I'm good in that regard. We just got back from Bayfield, which is up on Lake Superior in Wisconsin, and then we went out to the Upper Peninsula, like the south shore of Lake Superior. Okay. We stayed near Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. So that was cool. Saw, gigantic sand dunes.
I gotta say, to me, the UP is somehow like one of the more exotic wildernesses in the lower 48 states. Like, yeah. I have never been anywhere close to it, and I have absolutely no idea what's there, which is rare for me. I feel like I've been most places and have a concept about most other ones.
I've actually been there twice, so
nice.
But yeah, it's weird. There's a fuckload of waterfalls.
Nice.
Most of them aren't huge because there's not where's the water going to come from. But yeah, there are a shitload of waterfalls. Pictured Rocks is really cool. There's at the eastern edge of Pictured Rocks, out by Grand Marais, Michigan, there are the guide called them Grand Sable Dunes, but it's spelled Sable. And I think it's weird to not say Grand Sable.
I mean, it's Michigander's a whole nother language, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we went out there. The dunes are like 500 feet high.
Damn.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
That's some serious ass dunes.
And there's if you're at the western edge of the dunes, you could go down them, but there are signs warning you, like, it'll take you about 30 seconds to get down to the bottom. It's going to take you like an hour to get up because you're having to trudge back up sand dune, 500 feet of sand dune. So you're making, zero headway as you're trying to head back up. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And that was the first time I'd been to that part of the Upper Peninsula. So nice. We stayed sort of in between Marquette and Munising. So
nice. Yep. That sounds awesome. I mean, we've been having adventures too. We went to visit some of our mutual friends who live in Red Hook, which is basically about as remote a part of New York City as you can get to from Manhattan. Yeah. So we had to take the boat. It's about an hour-long boat with a transfer in the middle. But that's always fun.
Does it transfer at Roosevelt Island, or what's going on?
No. So there's multiple different ferry lines. It's kind of like its own little subway system in a way. So we have a ferry landing very close to our house. It's about, I don't know, 3 blocks away, sort of, 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
But we can take one of them, goes pretty quickly to Wall Street, which is kind of the big hub for all those ferry boats. And then we get on the South Brooklyn line, which takes us pretty quickly to Red Hook, which is kind of like... the way I would describe it, of course, probably more people have been to Red Hook than have been to Galveston, but to me, it is the Galveston of New York City. It's very quaint. It's very old. It is very far from anything else. And it's got a lot of like kind of like salty crab shack kind of restaurants.
Yeah.
And a bunch of stores that all seem to be like they are owned by... a main character in a romantic comedy. None of these stores sell anything.
A Nora Ephron one, or maybe Serendipity.
Yeah, there's like a there's a dollhouse engineer's workshop, and then there's a record store, and then there's like an art studio that just creates vases for people. These are the kind of stores that exist down there. But we had a lovely time. It was wonderful.
Is the Turntable Lab bricks and mortar there in Red Hook? I know it's in Brooklyn, but...
Not sure. This was just like a record store. This is like a record store. This guy probably... I don't know. I don't know how record stores work anymore. I know it's mostly online, but it didn't look like this guy was too worried about people coming through the door.
Okay.
He's just going to hang out there and listen to records.
I mean...
but we had a lovely time. It's very quaint down there. There's cobblestone streets and you can go look at the Statue of Liberty across the water. It's very nice.
If you can live your best life, live your best life. Be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then yesterday, we did another fun thing because they showed they in Bryant Park, which is where the big main library is with the famous lion statues. They do movies in the park while it's summertime, and they showed Muppets Take Manhattan. So we took Max down there, and lo and behold, we were prepared to leave after the first scene. He let us stay the whole movie. He seemed to have a good time.
Nice.
Of course, that's, it's a great movie to watch right there because really the whole thing is shot within about 5 blocks of that park. So we had walked by a few of those locations on our way to set up our picnic blanket.
I believe that is the first movie I saw in the theater.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I believe I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater, but I think that was my first one.
Right on.
But yeah, man, I feel like we have an episode that ticks a couple boxes, so to speak. And so I feel like we need to jump into this because we might be talking for a minute.
Yes.
Because before we jump in, it just pains me how it follows the classic Law and Order formula because I feel like this could have been an all-timer and it just falls ever so slightly flat.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. So I'll do the recap. Actually, before we do that, you drinking anything, Josh?
Fuck yeah, I am. I am drinking a Summer Break, which is a Galaxy, Citra, Nelson, and Simcoe Pale Ale from Falling Knife Brewery, which is let me just double check to make sure. Yeah, this is northeast Minneapolis. So
nice. Great.
Yep.
I am drinking a High Lie, which is a Cigar City Brewing IPA. So in sympathy with our Florida brethren who are suffering from the ravages of the Delta variant. It's a lovely beer. It's one that we can get almost everywhere here.
Yeah.
So it's
Cigar City is actually kind of ubiquitous here too.
Oh, nice. It's good. I mean, if you're going to have a semi-ubiquitous one, have it be something that's pretty good. But yeah, we are watching Unorthodox, which is another season 9 episode. This one is season 9, episode 13.
So 2 before Uncovered.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 2 before Undercover. And this is sadly one of the season 9 episodes where Adam Beach is credit only. So
credit only. Yeah.
Despite this being a Beachhead podcast, we're getting a season 9 episode with no beach.
You know what? And, speaking of Adam Beach, so your travels to the Upper Peninsula really made me kind of long for the days of me watching Arctic Air, and because to me it's kind of like the lower 48's version of like, I don't know, the Yukon Territory or something. I know you can drive to places in the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah.
I haven't done it myself, so I assume that you actually have to take a small plane to get these places. But yeah, so we open with an extremely sassy middle school police officer confiscating cell phones from a long line of downtrodden preteens when one pathetic-looking child stumbles up to her and passes out due to massive blood loss out of his anus. That's right, folks. Copious ass blood at the 1 minute mark. Hold on tight. As Benson and Stabler arrived at the hospital, we learn the facts of the case. The semen is still motile, which means the attack had taken place within the last 5 hours. The 10-year-old victim, David Zielinski, is clearly deeply distressed and unwilling to talk to the police. David's mom tells Benson and Stabler that her ex-husband Avi had taken David last night and that since their marriage had dissolved, he'd taken a hard turn into ultra-orthodox Hasidic Judaism. After some light anti-Semitism, Stabler decides to partner up with Munch, so the two of them head off to Williamsburg, where Munch out-Talmuds the devoutly religious Avi Zielinski into coughing up the name of David's tutor, one Jacob Rabowski, who'd taken David to his school after their morning religious studies. As they enter Jacob's yeshiva, Munch explains the Hasidic culture of Masira, or suspicion of secular authorities. There, they meet a young woman named Faith, who must have been the odd Midwestern convert to Haredi Judaism given her name, but who is fiercely devoted to Jacob's innocence. She mistakenly gives them the name of the head rabbi, so they barge into his office, where Rabbi Iskowitz is meeting with 3 other absurdly fake-bearded Hasidic men. Iskowitz tells them that Jacob, who is one of the men in the room, had been pronounced innocent of all charges by a Beit Din, or rabbinical court. Since they have no arrest warrant for Jacob, the best they can do is stake out the yeshiva and wait for Jacob to leave, which he does with the young boy. Elliot follows him to a basement apartment where he catches Jacob in flagrante delicto, not with the young boy, but with that Midwestern Hasidic American princess, Faith. They explain that their community's rules about separation of the sexes is so strict that Jacob would rather be accused of pederasty than admit to having a fling with a woman, hence the secrecy. David's mother, Rachel, then phones Elliot with news that David had been kidnapped. Rachel blames dad Avi, who has family in Israel, and Munch discovers that Avi had forged Rachel's signature on a passport application for their son. After a brief panic that David might be heading overseas, Finn tracks Avi's car to a toll booth outside Kiryat Moshe, a Yiddish-speaking, completely Hasidic enclave upstate. This community exists on the margins of the Western world. Most of the people there speak Yiddish as a first language. The sexes are strictly segregated, and they have their own police force and ambulance services. Munch and Stabler drive up and find Avi's car and are quickly met by one of the local cops who underestimates Munch's language skills and mistakenly points our detectives towards the synagogue. At the temple, they find Avi confronting Rabbi Iskowitz. Iskowitz had kidnapped David, and Avi had followed them up to Kiryat Moshe to get his son back. Back in the city, the rabbi explains that he was trying to save the boy from a morally corrupt Western culture, and David tells Elliot that he'd asked the rabbi to take him upstate so that he could go to school and be safe. Now, after 20 minutes of this red herring, CSU O'Halloran sets them on the right track by analyzing one of the pubic hairs recovered from David's butthole. It had to have come from a 12 to 14-year-old boy. Wong talks to David and elicits the name of the attacker, one Jack Tremblay, who Finn and Elliot find in his apartment, stroking one out to a second-unit softcore porn shoot. Jack's father works all the time, and his mother is dead, but his little brother claims that Jack had never done anything untoward to him. Then, his extremely angry, lesser McMullen of a father named George arrives at the precinct house. At this point, Jack sort of admits to the rape, but says that he thought it was okay since he'd seen gay prison porn online and assumed David would be cool without... Shit. Jack sort of admits to the rape, but says he thought it was okay since he'd seen gay prison porn online and assumed David would be cool with acting out one of Jack's favorite shower rape scenarios. Apparently, Jack thought the path to gaining respect from your middle school friends was to rape and torture younger kids and then not telling anyone about it. I'm not going to argue with the logic of a 14-year-old rapist, but this does not sit well with Jack's father, who slaps him across the face and storms out, telling Stabler that he's disowning his demon spawn and never wants to see him again. Before George Tremblay storms off, though, Elliot sneakily gets permission to question Jack without the presence of a lawyer. But something has changed. We have left the world of philandering Hasids and bloodied pant bottoms and entered Casey Novak land. David's legal aid attorney, Roxana Fox, tells Novak that a criminal jury will never convict that lovable, doe-eyed, porn fiend Jack of rape. But Novak is not convinced. Rabbi Iskowitz is let free, but before he leaves, he drops some quaint Talmudic wisdom on Elliot, which convinces Stabler to convince Novak to drop the criminal case and try Jack in family court. This prosecutorial restraint only lasts one commercial break, however, and the next thing we see is Novak busting into family court with Munch in tow and a warrant in hand to charge Jack as an adult. Upon hearing the news of Jack's arrest, 3 10 to 12-year-old girls agreed to testify about their own sexual assaults at the hands of Jack. Attorney Roxana Fox intends to argue an insanity defense based on the, quote, ongoing raunchification of our culture. Jack's victims describe being forced to lick him like a cat and other weird shit, but the defense declines to cross-examine any of them, so Novak rests her case. Later that evening, Elliot tries to guilt George into caring about his rapist's son, and the next day at trial, Jack tells the court that he watches something like 3 to 4 hours of porn per day. Then, resident crackpot psychological expert Emily Sofer testifies that a hypersexualized media has poisoned our youth. While Jack is midway through a textbook Bill Cosby no means yes routine, the courtroom door opens and his father walks in to take a seat. Novak should probably have taken Roxana Fox's plea agreement of 4 counts of sexual misconduct because no jury in this country is going to convince this white child actor of 4 counts of rape 1. So Jack is committed to Bellevue. Elliot admits that his latent anti-Semitism causes him to sympathize more with the rapist's father than with the victims, and we are left with a maybe the world would be a better place if we all put on a fake beard and a bad Yiddish accent and dropped out of society, Dick Wolf.
Yeah, it's
A lot of fake beards, Josh. A lot of fake beards.
Yeah, I've got notes about that. I've got, I guess, more questions than notes. But, yeah, the fake beard game. Wow.
Not really, not the finest makeup jobs I've seen.
Nope. Yeah, no, it's pretty, lot of fake beard, and it doesn't look good. There's one moment where Jacob?
Yeah.
There's one moment where his mustache is way too low, and you can see shorter shaved part underneath it. And
classic.
Yeah, it's rough.
I guess we kind of got to start with apparently there's a rip from the headline bit. So apparently we got to start there. Now, one thing I would say is that we have talked about the Hasidic community in question once before. The real community is called Kiryas Yoel, and we discussed it in parts. That was the SVU episode, which was season 6, episode 22. We covered it in Munch by Benson, episode 44, which was, but they are turning a blind eye when Munch is going to steal that kidney and put it in Marley Matlin, which took me a surprisingly long time to figure out which episode had the Hasidic red herring, because this one, the Hasidic red herring takes up the whole fucking episode, but that one is just a complete left turn after the first 5 minutes. Still, this is our second full-on Hasidic red herring. As it turns out, the only thing that they had to do with this was that the son of one of them was the victim.
And it's kind of weird because it doesn't have to be a red herring, because this is actually ripped from 2 separate headlines.
Interesting.
The first of the headlines from which it is ripped is the Rabbi Shlomo Hellbrand's kidnapping of Shai Fahima Reuven. Now, most of this, well, all the sources for this are going to be posted in the episode notes, but I'm looking mostly at the Shlomo Hellbrand's wiki and an article from New York Magazine from November of 1992 called The Vanishing by Stephen J. Dubner. Okay, so Rabbi Shlomo Hellbrand's was, and I'm probably going to mispronounce half of these names. Bear with me for that. So, Rabbi Shlomo Hellbrand's was the founder and Rebbe of the anti-Zionist Haredi Lev Tahor Jewish sect that relocated from Israel to Brooklyn in 1990. In 1994, he was accused of helping 13-year-old Shai Fahima go into hiding from his secular mother who had taken him to Lev Tahor on the recommendation of somebody else. So he went into hiding after Shlomo Hellbrand's had basically brainwashed him. Fahima became emotionally attached to Hellbrand's in the ensuing religious conflict. Hellbrand's was arrested but maintained a denial of any involvement in the disappearance and was released almost immediately. And this is allegedly because the district attorney didn't want to clash with the ultra-orthodox community heading into an election. So 2 years later, Shai's estranged father wore a wire in cooperation with the FBI. What set this all up was his father, who was estranged from them, was still in Israel, came back into the picture because Shlomo Hellbrand's had essentially said that both the mother and the stepfather were junkies, and tried to play him into signing over custody of the kid to Shlomo. The father brought the birth certificate but didn't have the legal. He didn't actually have custody of the kids, so he legally couldn't do it. And so then Shlomo tried to get the father to go to the mother and get her to sign over the kid to him, and then he would sign over the kid to Rabbi Hellbrand's. When the father went to visit them to do this, he was like, oh, everything Rabbi Shlomo Hellbrand's told me was total bullshit. They were not junkies. Everything was, they had a sort of strained marriage, but it was nothing like what Shlomo had said. So he instantly was like, okay, this is fucked up. So they went to the FBI, and then Hellbrand's kind of played it weird and wouldn't give too much, but he did end up getting arrested. There's also a whole bunch of other shit where Hellbrand's minions fucking cut the stepfather's hand with a fucking straight blade and almost half cut off his pinky and had two other fingers dangling from his hand. Lots of crazy shit where they were trying to get the kid back, but the kid was missing for 2 years. Hellbrand's was arrested and tried. During the trial, the boy, Shai Fahima Reuven, he was testifying and said that Rabbi Hellbrand's had nothing to do with it, that he ran from his abusive mother and detailed all of this hiding, but said, oh, Hellbrand's didn't do anything. Hellbrand's was convicted and sentenced to 4 to 12 years in prison, but had his sentence reduced upon appeal to 2 to 6 years due to good faith. Released on work release 3 days after the lower sentence was granted in the appeal. The public was incensed and protested his release. He was then moved back into prison until the end of his 2-year prison sentence, and a federal judge ordered him deported, which Hellbrand's, of course, appealed. Hellbrand's was released at the urging of an ultra-orthodox Pataki backer, and a scandal ensued, of course. Then Hellbrand's was released in 1996. In Mexico and Chiapas in 2017, Rabbi Shlomo Hellbrand's actually drowned while performing a mikveh mitzvah before Shabbat in a river. So he washed away and drowned. The second story that is ripped from the headlines is Rabbi Yehuda Kolko. I'm going to go way less off script on this one. But there's, seriously, the New York Magazine articles for both of these, everyone should read them.
Yeah, that one had some twists and turns, man.
All right, so moving down the line to Rabbi Yehuda Kolko, from dating back to at least 1969, Yeshiva Torah Tamaima teacher and eventual assistant principal Joel Yehuda Kolko was alleged to have molested at least 8 students, getting charged in 2006 for sexually abusing 2 first graders and forcing an adult former student to touch him during a visit to the school. As early as 1985, after Avraham Modrowitz's indictment for having intercourse with 4 boys in his care between the ages of 10 and 16, several prominent rabbis in Brooklyn decided to field complaints about rabbis and others in the community who were accused of molesting children. In this investigation, Kolko's name came up repeatedly, but the 6-rabbi panel were stuck between going to the police, which the ultra-Orthodox community really doesn't do, and rabbinical court proceedings, which have no power to substantiate claims or punish abusers. So, the parents of the victims went to Rabbi Yipa Margulies to try to get him to force Kolko to sell his stake in the camp that most of the molestation had happened at. The parents of the kids tried to at least get Margulies, the rabbi at Yeshiva Torah Tamima. He was Kolko's boss. Tried to get him to force Kolko to give up his stake at the camp, but Margulies summarily dismissed all of the claims. Like, every time a claim would come in, he's like, oh, that person's a liar, or that person's a thief, or whatever. So, just totally had Kolko's back the entire time. After the 2006 charges were filed, 6 former students followed by filing suit against the yeshiva, alleging that the school administrators, namely Rabbi Lipa Margulies, knew all about the molestation of students for decades, but intimidated students who spoke out and sought to cover it up. And then they added that another ultra-Orthodox rabbi, Pinchas Scheinberg, told victims that as a matter of Jewish law, Kolko would have to have had done more than just fondle the children for the acts to qualify as sexual abuse. And then in the 2 cases against the yeshiva that weren't dismissed for being filed outside of the statute of limitations, which is only either 3 or 5 years. I can't remember which. But it's not long enough. So Kolko pled to 2 lesser charges of child endangerment, and the 2 cases against the yeshiva that weren't dismissed were settled for $2.1 million. Kolko was sentenced to 3 years probation. He left the school and died in 2020 from COVID-19. Probably the only good thing to come out of the pandemic.
Oh, there's been a few. A lot of right-wing radio hosts keep dying.
Yeah, but this guy, like, irredeemable, complete piece of shit. No. Anyway, one of the plaintiff's lawyers told New York Magazine that he knew of as many as 20 victims between the ages of 19 and 50 who say they were abused by Kolko. And that's dating to 2006, right before this. So, yeah. Those are the 2 headlines from which this is ripped.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. 30 minutes in and we haven't even gotten to guest stars.
Nope. And we have a few guest stars to talk about, don't we?
Quite a few. Okay, so first guest star, Rhea Perlman, playing defense attorney Roxana Fox.
It's shocking that this was their only appearance.
I know, I was surprised.
Because they clearly wanted her to do it more often, and I guess it probably just never worked out.
Yeah.
But because
I think she's in LA mostly, but
Novak kind of introduces her as like, oh, this is my foil.
Oh, Roxana, here you are, and
up to your old tricks again.
Yeah. So Rhea Perlman was born in Coney Island and grew up in Bensonhurst. She was raised by her father Philip, a Polish immigrant who managed a doll parts factory and later had a career in LA as a character actor, mainly as a featured regular at the bar in Cheers. Her mother, Adele, was a bookkeeper. Her sister was like a staff writer on Cheers and Tracy Ullman Show and shit. So she studied drama at Hunter College in New York, getting her BA in 1968. One of her first notable parts was as Xena, Danny DeVito's character's girlfriend in Taxi. Glenn and Les Charles saw her playing a tougher character right around this time in a one-act play in New York and thought she'd be good for the role of Carla Tortelli, a role for which she was nominated for 10 fucking Emmys, winning 4 times. Both of those feats more than any other cast member from Cheers. She was also nominated for 6 Golden Globes for Best Supporting Actress, and that is an award that is both drama and half hours are lumped in together. So she was nominated 6 fucking times for Best Supporting Actress. That's more nominations than anyone else has ever had in that category. She later had her own sitcom after Cheers called Pearl. And she was the star of that. She was main cast on Kirstie on TV Land in 2014, and she played Danny's mom in 17 episodes of The Mindy Project, which is a delightful show. Yeah. She's been with Danny DeVito since 1971, marrying him in 1982, and separating twice, once in 2012 and again in 2017, though things are still amicable and they have no plans to get a divorce. I think they're just tired of each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long run.
Yeah. Next up, I'm going to go to Alexander Gould, who's playing Jack Tremblay.
Yeah, not related to a minor character in Muppets Take Manhattan, Elliot Gould, at least as far as I could tell.
No, I don't think so.
I assumed he was, but I could not find any family relations in my deep dive.
So he was born in L.A., he did the United Synagogue Youth Gap Year program at Nativ in Israel, then did his undergrad, first at Clark University before transferring to Brandeis, where he graduated with a dual major in philosophy and politics. He was the voice of Nemo in Finding Nemo, and he was Shane Botwin in Weeds. He currently works as a volunteer coordinator for Unity 2020.
Nice.
Next up, I'm going to go to Bob Dishy, who's playing Rabbi Iskowitz.
Yeah.
Yep, he is doing that. Going big. So his parents were Jewish immigrants from Lebanon. He grew up in Brooklyn and was childhood friends with Peter Falk, alongside whom he later appeared in 2 Columbos.
Nice. He's
been married to Judy Grobart, who was Winnie and a bunch of other characters in Electric Company. He's had a pretty extensive career on Broadway. In 1977, he won a Drama Desk Award and was nominated for a Tony for his work in Sly Fox. On the big screen, you may have seen him in Brighton Beach Memoirs, Stay Tuned, Along Came Polly, and Don Juan DeMarco. He also was a recurring defense attorney on the original series, Larry Weaver, with a handful of appearances there. Next up, I've got Michael McGlone, who's playing George Tremblay, the father. He's probably best known to most of our listeners as the Geico pitchman and those like doing those Robert Stack style things for their commercial. They had like a 3-year ad campaign where he was doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. For others, weirdos like Adam and I, he's sort of
the youngest McMullen brother.
Yeah, he fell into the Ed Burns crew and he was in Brothers McMullen.
So now we've had 2/3 of the Brothers McMullen. We're waiting for the Ed Burns.
Yeah, your favorite.
Stunt cast, yeah.
But yeah, he was in Brothers McMullen, She's the One, and The Fitzgerald Family Christmas. You may have also seen him in Ed, the ape. What kind of... Is it a chimpanzee?
Yeah, it's orangutan.
Orangutan?
It's orangutan, right?
Okay,
I think it's an orangutan movie.
The Matt LeBlanc with a primate baseball movie.
That's the Matt LeBlanc one, right? Because didn't one of the other Friends guys have an ape movie as well, if I recall correctly? Or maybe I'm just thinking of Jason Alexander.
Maybe.
Either way.
Yeah, something. But yeah, so he was in Ed, Hardball, One Tough Cop, which I've actually talked about before, which is the one that Bo Dietl... it's based on something that Bo Dietl wrote, and then Bo Dietl's in it, but in like a bit part. But it's got like Stephen Baldwin. It's got fucking the cast is ridiculous on that movie. He's also in The Bone Collector and had recurring roles in That's Life, The Kill Point, the Stars Crash series, which, you know, if you can make more of a bad thing, why not? And Person of Interest. Moving down the line, we've got Cara Buono, who's playing Rachel Zelinsky. The first victim's mother. She's Bronx born and raised. She's Italian, so it's funny that she's playing Rachel Zelinsky here. Yeah. Although I guess she never says she's Jewish, so maybe it's funny.
No, she doesn't. It's not. It's not said. I mean, it's also funny that that Alexander Gould, who is apparently extremely Jewish, is not playing a Jewish kid.
And is playing the son of Michael McGlone. Anyway, so she went to LaGuardia High School. She graduated from Columbia in 3 years with a degree in English and poli-sci. She played Kelly Moltisanti in The Sopranos.
That was Christopher's wife
in
after
the last season.
In the last season, exactly.
Yeah. She's also Karen Wheeler in Stranger Things, and that's maybe my favorite character in the whole thing.
Interesting.
I love how into that fucking lifeguard she is.
I don't know about that show, but we don't need to get into that.
I just think that whole bit's so fucking funny. Her thirsting after the shithead lifeguard older brother of what's her fuck. Anyway,
yeah.
She's also main cast in the final season of Third Watch, and she played Faye Miller in Mad Men, for which she was nominated for an Outstanding Guest Actress Emmy. Nice. She also played the lead's mother in Ang Lee's Hulk and Paper Towns, the John Green adaptation from a few years back. She was nominated for a Daytime Emmy in 1991 for a CBS school break special entitled Abby, My Love, where she played the titular Abby, and she is being abused by her father, Anthony Heald, and a young Josh Hamilton tries to rescue her from the abuse. She's also married to the Ethos Water guy. Who, I'm not going to give his name. Who cares? Then moving down the line, we've got Braden LeMasters, who's playing David Zielinski. He moved to Santa Clarita from Warren, Ohio as a child. He played Ray Romano's son in Men of a Certain Age, Albie. So yeah, that's actually really good. And it's on HBO Max now. So if you're looking for something to watch, there's not too much of it. And Romano and... Romano and Bakula and Andre Braugher are all pretty great in it. I mean, it's like a low-key good show. Like, it's not, you're not watching it and thinking you're watching.
It's not going to blow my mind.
But yeah. Then he was main cast in Betrayal and Tagged. He played Penn Badgley's younger brother in the Stepfather remake, and then played the younger version of Penn Badgley in Easy A. He also is in the band Wallows with fellow graduated kid actor Dylan Minnette, where they both sing and play guitar. Next up, I've got Adam Stein, who's playing Avi Zielinski. He played an Emmy in one episode of Criminal Intent. He played an assistant Emmy in 6 episodes of the original series and a CSU tech in a different episode of the original series.
Yeah, I had to go on a deep dive to see if he had a beard and what his beard would look like, but he does not have a beard. He does not have a beard, and it does. It would, that I could find.
It would not look like that thing that's pasted onto his face. Then I've got Zoe Lister-Jones, who's playing Faith. She's probably actually the person I was maybe at least most interested in after Rhea Perlman for this. She grew up in Brooklyn. She's the daughter of Canadian-born video artist Ardell Lister and American photographer Bill Jones. She went to Tisch and then studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. She put out a solo album and was in the band Maxi Geit and Play Cult. And she performed a one-woman show back in 2004 called Codependence is a 4-letter word. She's appeared in the original series Criminal Intent and Trial by Jury one time apiece. She was main cast in Life in Pieces, Whitney, and Friends with Better Lives. She also had recurring roles in New Girl and Delocated. On the big screen, you may have seen her in State of Play, Salt, The Other Guys, and All Good Things, and she will be in the upcoming Ari Aster movie. Probably most interestingly, she's worked a ton with her husband and writing partner, Daryl Wine. They co-wrote and she co-starred in Breaking Upwards, Lola Versus, and Consumed. She also added directorial duties to the mix on Band-Aid, which is really good. Everyone should watch that. It's fun as hell. So Band-Aid, and then she directed The Craft Legacy and How It Ends, which just came out. So yeah. And then I've got 3 short little ones. We've got Jesse Dowdswell, who's playing Chad, the kid who gets his cell phone taken away in the open.
Yeah.
He is Shauna Dowdswell's brother.
Weird.
And Shauna Dowdswell was the girl whose pics were sent school-wide in turmoil, which we covered back in Munch My Benson episode 43, another second unit photo shoot gone wild. If you remember from when we talked about her there, she died tragically young, having drunk herself to death at the age of 23. Yeah. Jesse Dowdswell was in an episode of Criminal Intent as well. Then just got 2 more here really quickly. We've got Joylette Harris, who's playing the school cop.
I mean, come on. It can't be too quick. This is a brain melter.
It is, but that's like her only credit, really. She has 4 credits, if I remember correctly. But
something like that.
But one of them is she's in
Monkeys.
10 episodes of The Wire as Officer Caroline Massey. So,
yeah.
brain melter.
She was the coupon cutting code breaker, basically, that worked with Lester to figure out all the phone lingo.
In season 4 or 5, one of them. Yeah, but she's great.
It's when like McNulty's not on the unit anymore, and it's basically like just Daniels isn't the chief yet, so it must be. It's 3 or 4 that she's in it. 2004, 2006. Okay, so she's been a couple seasons.
Yeah, and then we've got Joe Melendez, who's playing Reporter 1. He is Maloney's stand-in for at least parts of seasons 9, 10, and 11. He has like 45 stand-in credits from here. And he plays like a reporter in like 50 different things, but 50 different episodes, basically. He has like, he'll jump in and just either be a reporter or some like person that's saying something, but really isn't on screen. So, anyway. All right, so, fucking hell.
This starts on a high note, right?
Oh, yeah. I timed the bit between when the intro stops and the credits roll. There's a minute and 15 seconds.
And it's a banging minute and 15 seconds.
So in that minute 15, we get butt blood on a calculator. Talk of live sperm in a kid's ass. And months of rape scarring in said kid's ass. I mean, wow. Just bonkers. Holy shit.
Absolutely bringing it. Like, this is like peak Neil Baer right here.
Yeah. I mean, my next note is this kid does not want to talk about the butt blood. It's just fucking, holy shit. It starts out like it comes in hot.
I don't know that we've ever seen, ass leak blood before in quite this way. Especially
no, I mean he is
10-year-old.
bleeding through the seat of his pants in school, and there's butt blood on the calculator.
There's butt blood all over the
pocket.
calculator, which causes us to question how the blood got on the calculator. You know what I mean? Is it? I mean, we've already discussed Birmingham callbacks once before in this. Is this, what do you call it?
I don't know where like this. Jack would really be having to search high and low to find Birmingham callbacks that young.
I mean, that's true. The internet was in a less well developed.
Yeah, like I don't think Urban Dictionary was. Oh, okay. So then we meet mom and she's like getting mixed up or she's saying that everything's changed since her husband decided he needed to be ultra-orthodox, and so like isn't getting mixed up in religion and becoming a zealot pretty much the worst possible thing a spouse can do, like outside of committing felony rape or murder?
I mean, especially if they weren't particularly religious beforehand, right? Because then all of a sudden you just gotta hear about it all the fucking time. Especially if you have a kid together. Now you got to deal with your kid having to deal with all these new rules. It's a pain in the ass. I get it.
Yeah.
But I also I've read some accounts. I don't have them available right now, but there is a fair amount of kind of. It's not straight up anti-Semitism in this episode, but it's definitely sort of like a careless way to kind of paint Hasidic Jews as not being like people like the rest of us are.
Some of that is there. There's an article that I'll link to also in the thing that's like a media commentary opinion piece by Allison Josephs at Jew in the City. She had a lot of problems with this episode.
That might be the one that I was reading. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was like a list of them. I have one pulled quote here in a second that I'll hit, but she definitely had problems with it. I will say that having looked at Having done the research between the first and second time that I watched it.
And watched it again.
Yeah, having done the research on the rip from the headlines bit, it's like, oh no, everything that they're pulling is from one of those two headlines that they rip from. So while on the surface, that absolutely seems like the case, they actually kind of fucking like go easy on them, because this whole fucking episode could have absolutely been about one of the two cases.
Yeah, which I just, sometimes I just... They're addicted to this red herring shit, right? And they don't have to do that. This would have been really interesting if it was just about the, Hasidic community. And I don't know, maybe try to like approach it slightly more sensitively, get like a voice coach that can do the accents better, and maybe work on the beards a little bit more.
Were there problems with the accents?
Because, I mean, one thing I will tell you is that I know SVU shoots in, I think there are studios downtown, like in the Lower East Side somewhere.
No, Navy Piers.
What's it? Yeah, okay. There are Hasidic people all over the place down there, and all over Brooklyn. There's lots of them around. Less up here, but you know what? I'm sure they can find somebody who could at least kind of talk them through the more sensitive parts of this with, and just kind of smooth things over, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not that I'm sure they're getting in any trouble with this, but it's just a little cringy, I think.
I think it's funny when they find a reason to give either Maloney or Hargitay the tap out, oh, tag, you're in.
Yeah.
And so obviously this one, it's a Stabler and Munch episode, because Munch has to be the Judaism translator for the audience.
Yeah, exactly. The resident Jew has to go up.
Oh yeah, this is why he's here, right, guys? Anyway,
but, on this line, I love that they did not send Munch. They sent Finn to go help track down the porn-watching kid.
Yeah. All right, so Munch seemingly busts out Torah concepts to argue their need for cooperation from the father. But according to Allison Josephs in that article I just mentioned, Munch is getting the Torah all wrong. And
I definitely read this piece.
Yes,
link this piece, please. Because, I read this one too. I found it interesting.
Oh, it's definitely linked. I have it. It's already in the notes.
Nice.
So this issue that she has is issue number 7, I believe. It's having the outsider try to teach the Orthodox Jew some Torah. And she says, I've seen this theme in more than one show. The Hollywood writers find some verse from the Torah that they confront the religious Jew with to tell him how much he has lost his way. Unfortunately, the writers regularly seem to botch this. Munch tells Avi, the Torah forbids you from lifnai iver, or from turning a blind eye.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it is. And that's wrong. That's lifnai iver literally means don't put a stumbling block before a blind person, or colloquially means don't test someone who's weak. What Munch meant to say was al sa'amod al dam re'acha, or whatever. Don't stand idly by your neighbor's blood. If there were only some actual experts on the Torah that writers of Law Order SVU could have consulted with how she finishes it. So.
Well, exactly. Like, I feel like, I mean, if they would be willing to talk to me, but I could probably tomorrow... Well, it's going to flood tomorrow. So Thursday. On Thursday, I could go down to Brooklyn with my kid and, speak to some Hasidic gentlemen and be, respectful enough and be like, hey, will you tell me how to pronounce this? And they probably would, They probably would. They'd be interested. They'd like the fact that I was interested, and they would help me out. Maybe they wouldn't, but I assume that that eventually somebody would help me out because I was asking them for help.
Yeah.
And there's fucking a million of them here, So it's not hard to find them.
Now, I do love Rabbi Iskovitz saying that they found their own guy innocent on all charges.
Well, I mean, so they had a bet din, which is like a rabbinical court, which is he's right. I mean, it is something that has been around for a long time. It's kind of, It is something. It's House of Judgment is the direct translation, It is used when you're trying to convert to Judaism. It's used for lots of different reasons. I don't know that it is holds the weight of, a criminal.
Of absolving someone from criminal charges?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Now, he says that they've found their own guy innocent of all charges, but as Elliot clumsily follows him with all of the spycraft of Inspector Gadget.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, like he's walking down the street where he's the only
in
guy
plain
who's not
sight. Like there are not, they don't have extras obstructing like the view of Elliot at all. He's not like coyly hanging around a fucking corner waiting for like space to be. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So Elliot obviously goes and figures out what's actually going on with Jacob. And I don't know how Rabbi Iskovitz could possibly say that they have absolved him because they don't know what he's doing. And he's entirely like gone behind their backs doing all of this other stuff that they would also frown upon. So, I don't know.
Well, okay, but they're not professional investigators. They're rabbis, right? And
yeah, but they said that he's innocent.
Well, he was innocent of raping that boy.
Yeah. We know this. They don't.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out what was going on. Whatever.
Anyways, but it was a fun little like I always love it when they're doing like when they're out in the field actually doing like a stakeout because it's such a rare thing for us to see in SVU, and so it's always fun for me to watch it happening. And this one, of course, like Elliot is the only person wearing Western clothes on the street. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is like full on Hasidic getup, big hats and great coats and whatnot.
Great
he sticks
beards.
out like a sore fucking thong. Yeah, big, huge ass beards, like curls down
What was
to their,
the fucking fake
ankles.
beard and mustache budget for this episode?
So much. Okay.
They're like, seriously, there have to have been like 100 fucking fake beards.
I feel like they should have gone for quality over quantity. Not had quite so many extras, or you know what?
Just
Maybe
cast
work a
actual, Hasidim.
Well, that might be difficult because they probably wouldn't agree to be in it, so I can get that. But maybe what you can do is you can work on Rabbi Iskowitz's beard and you can work on Avi Zelinsky's beards because those are, and maybe I guess the other one.
They're so
Jacob.
bad.
There are 3 that are on there, and they're the worst 3.
Yeah.
The ones in the background are not as nearly as bad because maybe they actually just found guys with beards.
Well, they found Civil War generals, and they just
what they did is they actually did all their casting in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
All of those dudes are Amish.
Yeah. The mustache would be tough, but anyway. So, how many takes do you think it took for Elliot to yank Jacob off of Faith without his beard flying off awkwardly?
Also, okay, so they've done the research, right? They've come up with a fake name for this community. They've done the rip from the headlines things.
They even have the exit on the highway.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Exactly. How are they naming a Hasidic Jewish girl Faith? That's not a name. That's like a name of like a Mandy Moore film. That somebody has that name. Like
saved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So their all-day film festival at the Roxy was a chance to be alone. What do you think they watched that day, Adam?
Okay, so for one thing, the Roxy used to be a like palace of cinema in New York City. It burned down in the 1920s, I believe. And so nowadays there actually is there's something that calls itself, there's a Roxy Hotel that does show movies there. I don't believe it was running at this point in December 2007. Right now they are showing Contempt. So
I was actually going to surmise that they were probably watching a French New Wave.
Yeah, so I don't think that I could get Max to stay quiet for all 2 hours of Contempt.
I don't think you could get me to stay quiet for all 2 hours of Contempt. I like Godard. I fucking hate that movie.
Interesting. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's like pretty, and of course, it's weird to me that it's that short because it feels much longer than that. And it also has that weird...
It feels like it's 6 hours long.
It's only 102 minutes. It's actually quite short. But it has that whole like weird Bardot scene tacked onto the beginning of it where she's in the bathtub. Just because she was like, why did you... Like, I need to be in more of this movie. Anyways, so... Maybe it's contempt. But I looked at some of the films that were out in December 2007.
But it's a festival, so this is...
Yeah, you're right. It was a festival, and I couldn't find one that was really, like, made sense. But, Josh, on December 13th, 2007, I think a film that both of us would have liked to have seen at the Roxy came out. That's National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Yes.
Which I totally would have been there for.
Yeah. So it's probably a National Treasure double feature.
Yeah, exactly. Atonement came out right around then. So did
also fuck that movie.
I Am Legend. Fuck that movie. Maybe they was doing an I Am Legend. What's the Heston film?
Omega Man. They could have been doing Last Man on Earth. Mm-hmm. That was the one with Vincent Price, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they could have been doing Last Man on Earth, Omega Man, and I Am Legend.
Yeah, I would have left after Omega Man.
Yeah.
Omega Man's fun.
Yeah, Omega Man's fun as hell. All right, so kidnapping...
But O'Halloran next just blows that up.
Yeah, and by the way, it feels so fucking good to have O'Halloran back in an episode. It feels like it had been like 20 episodes since we had O'Halloran.
Absolutely. I guess, we're kind of like forgetting the scene where they go up to whatever, the fake Curious Yoel. But it doesn't lead anywhere.
Kehelat Moshe.
Yeah.
Which is basically just covering them from getting a defamation lawsuit from Curious Yoel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is, apparently it is now the most heavily populated town in, where is it? Orange County. It's the most populated town in Orange County. It's only 1.5 square miles. The next largest town by population is 105 square miles. So it is a different world up there. It's very compact. It's very poor, but at the same time, there's no crime. It's a very strange place.
Is there no crime though?
Well, they deal with it themselves, I guess is how I would put it. Yep. But so one thing they mentioned is that they have their own police forces. Well, last I checked, most towns have their own police forces, so that doesn't seem too weird to me.
Yeah.
And another thing they mentioned is they have their own ambulance services. Now, this is something that I see a lot in New York because, yes, there are Jewish Orthodox emergency ambulance services. Actually, all over the world have them. They're in many different countries. They have them in Mexico and Argentina and Canada and Brazil. And obviously in the New York area, I see their ambulances all the time. They have Hebrew letters on the side. I assume it's Yiddish. Maybe it's Hebrew. I don't know. I can't read them. But we see them go by all the time. My wife has a lot of Hasidic patients that she sees. And they come, if they're coming on an ambulance, they come on those ambulances. And it's not that weird. Fairly normal for where they're Orthodox communities to have these. They're called Hatzalah, is the name of that.
I mean, private ambulances are just
yeah, it's a thing. It's not even that weird.
I don't know if you watched the John Oliver thing from maybe 2 months ago, but it was shocking how fucked ambulance.
Oh yeah, no, ambulances are fucked all over the place. Like it makes me want to convert just so I have access to these to these guys because it seems like it's like a volunteer thing. If you're in the city of Houston, there's literally not a single medical insurance that is covered by any of the ambulances that go there. Yeah, not a single one. So if you've got an ambulance, you're paying like $10,000.
It's cool though because Houston's only the fourth largest city in the country.
I mean, by area, it's massive.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I'm talking by population too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, by population, it's very close to Chicago, and by area, it's massive. Nice. Great
so
country.
Then we've got O'Halloran coming in with a Tanner Stage 2 bomb.
You're on the right track, Elliot, but it wasn't his teacher.
How do you know that?
I put the pubic hair we recovered from the crime scene under a microscope. Mm-hmm. This is an adult pubic hair. This is hair from the rape kit.
Look totally different.
The one from the rape kit is shorter and less coarse. I'd say it's no more than a Tanner Stage 2.
Tanner Stage? Is our perps an adolescent?
Based on this photo, he's between 12 and 14 years old.
And I'm just, bring it, O'Halloran. Fucking slam
I love it.
here.
I mean, he's looking at those
looking at those butt pubes. But the best part of this little bit is Maloney's dramatic tween pube turn. Like when Tanner Stage 2, and then he turns towards the camera, and his look of, oh my God, that's tween pube. We've got ourselves a tween perp. Priceless. So was trying to figure out what Jack was watching on his TV to no avail, but I think you're right. It's probably just a second unit filler thing. I don't think they would have cleared the rights
because we didn't see faces, and we didn't hear the there was like voice work, right?
Yeah.
But it did not match up. It did not match up with what we were seeing on screen. And we also like didn't see. We just saw like a woman wearing like some kind of negligee and a man with his shirt off.
Yeah,
like, it was not. It was tame, but and it was.
We also heard no signature music that you would have heard from that.
Yeah, it was not like the finest work out there. Definitely, like Jack could find better production quality online.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the kid.
But like the look in that kid's eyes as he's watching porn is one of the things that is going to stick with me with this episode, because I don't know if that's how people look when they're watching porn, but he looked crazed, man. He didn't look like he's method. Simmering in ecstasy. He looked like he was, I don't know what he looked like, man. It's terrifying.
Yeah. So when he's in there, when he's in the precinct, and he says he saw it in a movie, that's code for Oz, right? He saw it in Maloney's other life.
Well,
then this brother McMullen blusters in and realizes that he's really raised his son poorly and that it's brought shame upon his own household.
He's Mega McMullen. He's like comes in Mega. He stays Mega basically the entire time. They never tune it down at all.
No.
This guy.
It's pretty cool that he slapped the kid and then abandoned him, though. Trying to work your Dad of the Year case into just a fervor,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, how do I have this many notes still? So Stabler apologized to Rabbi Iskowitz for calling him a child molester.
Yeah.
It still seems kind of fucked up to me that they are not charging the rabbi for kidnapping.
Yeah, but I mean,
he fucking kidnapped a kid and took him
well, the kid
took him up to goddamn Harriman, took him up to Kiryas Yoel,
there's
or whatever the fuck, Kalahat Moshe.
I'm trying to get up to that neighborhood. That's kind of where Bear Mountain is. I'd like to go for a hike.
Is that where you find all your bears?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I need some burly men in my life, Josh.
Yeah.
But no,
I'm right here, Adam.
I suppose that David did ask for the alleged kidnapping to occur, so I can see why the prosecutors might.
Can a 13-year-old consent to?
He was 10.
Can a 10-year-old? Can a 10-year-old consent to kidnapping?
Yeah, especially when the father clearly no, I don't think he can. But
no.
But still, I can understand why you maybe wouldn't decline to prosecute, especially when your boss is probably looking for re-election and hoping to get those sweet Hasidic votes in their column.
Now, the old Rabbi Iskowitz appeals to Stabler to not try Jack as an adult, so he goes to Stabler and says, "Shouldn't we just give him a chance to get help?" And I kind of agree here.
Honestly, yeah.
What good is Jackie was kind of complaining about it earlier, complaining about Novak's whole angle here, but what good would sending that 14-year-old kid to prison do? Like this, I think there's a judgment call in there somewhere.
Yeah, we've actually seen both sides of this argument in another episode that I think treated
Juvenile.
Treated this with a lot more thought about when you have a 90-pound perp. And in that one, you had Connor Paolo as the sniveling little shit who was the evil one who kind of gets off with this scenario. He's kind of sent to someplace for rehabilitation, whereas the slow kid, I forget who played that one.
Jeremy Bryce was the character.
That's right, yeah. Sent to prison for 50 years, some long-ass term. And I thought that dealt with this a lot more sensitively. Jack Tremblay in this one doesn't play crazy very well. Of course, he's a child actor, so I'm not going to
But I also don't think he's supposed to be crazy.
I mean, but isn't that what it is? He's the pornography made him do it. Isn't that is that the crux of this episode?
Well, I think it's more that it sort of broke down his conception of what sex was. It like tainted that and sort of poisoned it in a way. I don't think it's that he's crazy per se, not in the pathological,
not like Connor Paolo.
Not in the pathological like sociopath way, but
not Connor Paolo finding a box of crayons in the dumpster.
No, not like that. No, I think this is very different. I think we're meant to see him as having been profoundly damaged by like overstimulation by hours of watching pornography a day and Oz and pornography.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there, but
and probably SVU, to be fair.
I just gotta say that I feel like really you had 2 full ass episodes here, and putting them together kind of watered both of them down to the point where they're both ridiculous. Because
sure, but I mean, in the way that we really enjoy.
Yeah. But make a whole episode about how porn made him do it.
Yeah. Okay, so Novak comes in with a slew of other kid Vics, so we've got ourselves a serial kid rapist, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I can't believe Nemo grew up to do this to these other kid fish.
Fucking hell, yeah. Nemo, he gets home, he gets off the fucking sea turtle, and he starts raping all the other clownfish.
Yeah, that's what you get for fucking finding them. So then the whole the media is sexualizing our children. This is coming from SVU. Kind of biting the hand that feeds them there.
A little too meta, guys.
Yeah. So then in the judges' chambers, Roxana claims that 40% of song lyrics are sexually explicit, which is wild and phrased in such a way as to have rendered it nonsensical. Now, there were studies. I did a little dive on this.
So 40% of all songs have explicit lyrics?
But like the way she says it, 40% of song lyrics. Like, okay, so that is, are we talking like a percentage of every lyric? 40%? Like one song, 40% of it is sexually explicit? That's what it reads like to me when you say it like that. But anyway.
Maybe if it's like a Too Short album or something like that. But that's about it.
Yeah, if it was, or Two Live Crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay. In 2006 and 2008, there were 2 studies done that estimated that more than 1/3 of popular songs have sexually explicit content, and that 2/3 of those songs were sexually degrading. In another study, it was also estimated that between 40% and 75% of music videos contain sexual imagery. 40% of song lyrics, though.
That's all. Yeah.
That's just insane. Now, then we get to the courtroom. The courtroom, and we've got the girls, Ashley and Michelle, and one bleeds into the other, but Ashley starts, and she's like,
he told me he'd seen some stuff in a movie. Girls licking boys. Like cats. He said I had to lick him too. He said it's what people who like each other do. And if I didn't, he wouldn't be my friend anymore.
I mean, just insane.
What the fuck does I love it. I love that.
Now, 2 of the 3 girls, this is their only credit. So if they're like one day,
this was their experience in Hollywood.
Yeah, their kids or their grandkids, like, look them up online and they'll find this episode, and this is what they'll see their grandmother doing.
at what, 12 maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Jesus Christ. Like, and this is the hypersexualizing kids, just what Emily Sofer's talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure. But more importantly, girls licking boys like cats.
Like cats, I guess, like what cats like.
I would get it if it were the other way around and it was a boy licking a girl like a cat, sure. But girls licking boys like cats? Or are they licking their? I don't understand. They're licking their paws or something.
Yeah, they're licking the parasites off of their fur, something like that.
or anus, I guess. it's salad tossing.
Speaking of which, I just saw that episode of White Lotus. It was fun.
Oh, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really good. So Dad of the Year won't show up in court.
No.
And he's like, do you have any idea how people look at me now? And it's just like, oh yeah, cool. This is really about you, dipshit.
Well, but Elliot absolutely empathizes with this guy so much. He's like, he's having an Irish dad mind belt with this guy. Is what is happening.
Sure. Yeah. But Stabler is absolutely doing the like stand up thing and trying to get this fucker to stand by his kid.
Yeah.
Stabler empathizes with him because he can see Dickie doing this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Carla's defense is basically just sent to her from Edwin Meese's office, right?
Oh yeah, I mean this is like peak.
Mm-hmm. This is peak Reagan pornography hysteria.
Yeah. It's bizarre that it's in 2007. I thought we'd kind of like move beyond that at that point. Like in 2007, hadn't we just like admitted that like everybody watches porn all the time, constantly? I mean,
he says he's like fucking everyone likes sexy stuff. Jack's like, right?
Yeah,
they do. Everyone likes it.
I can't turn on my computer without seeing a man raping another man in the ass in a prison shower scene.
Oh, God damn it.
God, when they make fucking Nemo say that he made him his bitch.
It was just like in the movie. The guy said, "You're my bitch. I own you." And everyone respected him.
You wanted the other boys to respect you.
I'm sick of everyone picking on me. The guy in the movie didn't get picked on after he had sex.
That's peak SVU. That's peak SVU.
That's the apex, maybe. Okay, so Linda Amon comes in. She was in last week's episode, and Linda Amon says she comes in to testify about porn breaking kids, and she says our children are learning a whole new set of sexual scripts. Then she goes on to say that kids are syphilitic blowjobbers. So. She also makes the claim that 35,000 minors were accused of forcible rape in 2007.
Oh, you track that one down?
Damn straight I did.
Big number. Seems like a really big number.
Yeah, it seems like a really big number. It seems like one because it is one. It's like 10 times higher than the actual number, which is 3,580.
Still a lot, but...
So I went to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention on the US DOJ site. And yes, their estimated number of juvenile arrests in 2007 for forcible rape. This is arrests, which I would assume is synonymous with accusations.
Yeah.
3,580. My next favorite line of the episode is, "It's part of the sex." Like, the phrasing of that is just delicious. Fantastic. We've got a 14-year-old saying, "It's part of the sex, right?" Then it cuts to McGlone with his pensive, like, clenched fist right in front of his jaw, like glowering in the courtroom. And it was super
He's trying to
like
plot with his brothers what to do with their parents' estate or something.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
But it was, I almost laughed aloud when I saw it. Now, do we need to talk about Novak thinking that she's going to win another case here that she doesn't win?
Seriously, like when she's talking to Elliot, it's like, yeah, take it, man. That kid's going to do time and like nobody's going to convict this kid.
No,
I'm sorry.
She just cannot read the room in the jury. Like she can't read the courtroom at all. It's baffling to me.
So I'll tell you what I think was wrong with Novak in this whole episode, why she was off her game, right? Because she was never going to win this. And she's like never has a theory of what she's doing because she's trying the kid as an adult. Then she's not. Then she is. Then she's not. Her problem was, if you noticed, she was wearing a very low neckline the whole episode.
Yep.
She was not wearing one of her signature scarves or turtlenecks.
Sure, she
which
had not
means
been.
That she was not. Yeah. She was not being satisfied recently.
She had not been autoerotically asphyxiating herself.
Yeah, which I think is the key to her powers. I think she does much better.
It's like Samson and his hair.
Absolutely.
But her blazer in that closing scene was so fucking shiny. Like, it was distracting. I don't think the sweater works either, honestly. Like, it had the weird, I don't know if it's a pocket watch pocket, like way low on the sweater, but it was a weird sweater. It doesn't feel like that's a closing argument sweater. And the fucking blazer.
Yeah, closing argument, you wear your crispest suit.
And a turtleneck.
Yeah, if you're Novak. So I think we can rank this thing. I mean, we kind of had to race through it, but we're in at under an hour and a half so far.
It feels like longer.
So yeah, we obviously we rank these episodes each and every week. We have a 4 criteria 10-point scale that we rank these things on. We're trying to come up with a composite score that allows us to slot it in with all the other episodes that we will eventually have watched. And this one certainly ticks certain boxes, but I'm honestly not sure how it's going to end up, right? Yeah. It's not like Undercover, the Close Enough to See Dick Wolf, where I knew it was going to be a good one when I was watching it.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how this goes. So quality is, I think, one of the hardest ones to answer because I think this had the material to be a better episode, maybe even 2 better episodes than it actually was.
But it sort of, was a slave to the formula.
Yeah, the red herring and the having it be, 50% court case. The court case had some fun moments. I'm not going to say that it was like a dud like it sometimes can be.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the courtroom scenes it's part of the sex and girls licking boys like cats in it.
But honestly, I could have used more Alexander Gould saying off the wall bonkers shit, and I could have used an entire, crazy Hasidic Jewish episode. I think both of those things would have been better than maybe this kind of mishmash whole.
Yeah, but I suppose it's weird. We're saying that there's enough here for 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think there's enough for 2 good episodes.
But if that's the case, then can we really fault it too much for having too much good? Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, I had so much fun watching this.
I
was crazy. Laughing out loud a lot watching this.
I mean, they're at the
Kellyat
Moshe or whatever. Yeah. They're there for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this episode is. I had remembered them being there for way longer, and they're there and
they're there for 2 minutes. Yep. They basically paint this whole community with a bunch of blanket statements. They're just casting out anti-Semitisms left and right, and then they're gone.
I mean, super casual anti-Semitism, and it's really just ultra-orthodox anti-Semitism.
Sure,
so, yeah.
It's a specific thing, and they get they have a Jewish character saying those things, but
they cover their asses by having Munch say it.
Exactly. That's why he went along. Ellie was like, I need somebody to do the anti-Semitism.
Okay, so quality. I am inclined to say a 6 or 7.
Yeah. We gave the Matthew Modine one a 7.
This is better than that.
I think we have to give it a 7 if that's a 7.
Yeah.
Because this is this was so much fun to watch.
This was way more fun to watch than Rage.
Absolutely. Now, of course, the next thing is the guests. No guest is doing as much as Matthew Modine was doing, but Alexander Gould, I don't know if he knows that he's delivering the lines as well as he is.
He really kills it. It's rare that a kid kills it this hard.
I mean, again, I don't think he's killing it in quite the way that Connor Paolo did in the 2 Connor Paolo episodes that we've seen. But...
With just perverse delight the whole time. He's not doing that. But this character's not calling for that. So I think he's doing a really fucking good job here.
Yeah, maybe it's the way his eyes are just so unnaturally. He has Bud Cordian eyes, I would say, that are just gigantic, and you can tell how much pornography they've absorbed. But I think he does a pretty good job. Now, I can't necessarily say the same about
Bob
like
Dishy.
Bob Dishy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like crazy broad caricature.
Yeah. I mean,
he's not helped by the beard.
No, he's not. I mean, it kind of felt like a community theater production of Fiddler on the Roof is what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
And like by community theater, I mean like a small community without any Jewish people in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, even more jarring when you know that he's like born to Jewish immigrants.
Yes.
But yeah. It's something. It's really something.
It sure is. Everybody else is, I guess, fine. Not really. I think
Rhea Perlman was good. Linda Eamon was good.
I mean, Rhea Perlman's always good, so I would expect her
there's
to
a
be
reason
that.
she has 4 Emmys.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, everybody else is like plays their roles, I think, totally fine. But yeah, I thought Alexander Gould, like at first I'm like, what is with this kid staring at the porn? And then like it really grew on me.
No, I think he really nails it. I mean, the only other one that I think I just don't buy Mike McGlone in general.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He comes in too hot and stays too hot.
But I mean, like in anything, I don't buy him really. Unless he's if he was just playing a cop, I guess I'd get it.
If he's playing a Geico pitchman, I'd get it too.
Yeah,
right?
but he's got serious cop vibes.
Yeah, yeah, he does. I mean, honestly, there's a reason why Elliot and him have such a heart-to-heart, right? They're
yep, they're one and the same. So yeah, I mean,
so it has its ups and it has its downs.
I think the ups outweigh the downs, and it's probably another 7.
I would call it a 6, honestly, because I think we're in the same realm as, in a weird way, we're in the same realm as Rage, where the guests are the best thing about it and in some ways the worst thing about it, right? But I'll go 7. We'll go 7. Fuck it.
I just think Alexander Gould's like too good in this.
And, I mean, when he talks about making him his bitch, it's just fucking outstanding.
And just the weird, it's not an easy part to land. Because there's a lot, there's got to be like the underlying confusion about everything that he's doing, and then everything that's coming out of his mouth is just horrifying.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's how people. It's part of the sex, right?
But then, I mean, I guess it's not the actor's fault that those beards are so ridiculous. But like, God, we get a lot of Avi Zielinski's just absurdly fake beard in this.
I think it's wonderful, but
so the next one, it's gonna score fairly high on, right?
How?
Problematic.
How do you figure?
I mean, again, we're like 59 seconds into the episode, and we're seeing 10-year-old ass blood.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think there's any other. I don't think
in
that
the
we can
first
go
minute
anywhere.
and 15 seconds of actual script.
They talk about motile sperm inside a 10-year-old's ass.
Live
Bloody
sperm in a
ass.
10-year-old's ass. Oh man, I mean,
we have how old was Alexander Gould when that was filmed? So he was born in 1994. He's 20. Well, so he's born in 1994. This was 2007. So he was 13.
Yep. Good times. It's probably This is probably why he's like a pretty Orthodox Jew now.
Yeah, they had a 13-year-old say, "I'm going to make it my bitch."
Yep. Oh, fucking delightful.
Wonderful. So this is an obvious 10, right? I mean, is it?
I mean, I would maybe go as low as 9, but it's 9 or 10 for sure. I don't know that it's wall to wall.
It's not. I mean, there is,
but it is crazy.
The anti-Semitism is not that hard. It's more just kind of like, look at these crazy people with their curly hair and their giant.
But then they
beards.
pull everything back too, and it's like, oh, we misread you, and no, we feel bad, even though the original cases were actually pretty terrible. That these are
you're right. It might just be a 9 because it's not. We have some 10s. Right?
We have some real 10s. I mean, the Connor Paolo, the second Webb, that one's a fucking 10 with a bullet.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Hooked was a 10.
Sure.
And And, of course, ridicule was a 10.
Yep.
And then we had like a string of 10s, but we had taboo, brotherhood, and slaves. And slaves, of course, was an easy 10.
I think this is a 9. I mean, we're like, it's getting very, very close. It's really just that there's a lull in the problematic in the like for the whole second act. It's basically not that problematic aside from the casual anti-Semitism.
In the court, sort of like when the girl's talking about licking him like a cat, and
that's like Act 3. That then we're getting good again, or that's probably Act 4 actually. But then we're getting back good again. It's just there's a weird like between the second and third commercial break,
absolutely,
where it's not. There's kind of nothing there because then they're playing out the kidnapping string, and it's just it's not the same.
Yeah, it was boring, and it is like a problem with the quality. Is like how many little dead ends they went down in this one. There was like 10 where it's just like, oh yeah, we're just going to drop that immediately. So last question, Josh, depth and breadth of lives ruined. Obviously we have 4 rape victims. We have
4 like 10 to 12-year-old rape victims.
Mm-hmm. We have 4 10 to 12-year-old rape victims. We have a 14-year-old who doesn't think that rape is wrong. We have an Irish dad.
I don't know that he doesn't not think that rape is wrong. He doesn't think he raped anybody.
Yeah, but we have an Irish sad dad.
Yeah. We also, he does hit his kid.
That's absolutely right. And who else's life is ruined in this one? We don't have any bodies. As it turns out that I don't think that Faith and Jacob's, or Yonkels, as they also call him, relationship is revealed. I don't remember if it was or not. But
it was not. It was not.
Yeah, I don't think it was. So that's they're good. They can go back to the next film forum festival. They can see La Piscine like I did the other week.
I just watched it too on Criterion.
Yeah, fabulous movie. Yeah, gorgeous. I liked it a lot. So you want to throw out a number for this one? I think it's not nothing.
3?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe a 4.
It's that kid got raped in the ass.
I forget about Daniel?
Yeah, David.
I forget about David.
4.
I think that 4.
So, okay, with all that in mind, it gives us a 6.75, which it's about right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not perfect by any means, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
And very memorable.
Yeah, definitely one that I loved watching the first time. The second time, it was more like, what were they thinking with this? So that puts it right in line with, let's see, we have the Laverne Cox Bailey Chase episode Closet, which we covered in I'm Just Here for the Violence, and also Ritual. That's an Upper East Side slave auction if I've ever seen one. So,
yeah.
Oh, and also Military Justice. I don't feel like Wesley Crusher could take care of himself, which I had to go through a lot of these episodes because it took me a long ass time to find parts. Because in that one, the Hasidic Jewish red herring was dropped so quickly that I totally forgot that was the one that had that.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
thought it had to be in something else. But yeah.
Eventually, we'll have these. We'll have this in a presentable format on the website too, but we don't have it right now. So
yeah, we kind of got to figure out exactly how we're gonna
present
do that.
Yeah,
but we'll come up with that. We need to do it soon because we have to have a searchable database of all this stuff that looks better than our current.
Oh God,
Google Sheet does.
Oh yeah, our current spreadsheet is a fucking nightmare. Anyway.
So let's roll the next one, man.
So, going over to episode.lol, which was built for this podcast by Flet. I am clicking on the Law Order SVU icon. The tape is spinning. Bill and Ted are wondering what they've done to end up basically like Scott Bakula and Quantum Leap, leaping into different episodes. Oh, motherfucker. All right. So we've got ourselves Surrendering Noah.
Oh, God damn it.
Season 16, episode 23. This is the season finale for season 16. Sergeant Benson and ADA Barba take Johnny D to trial for sex trafficking, rape, assault, and kidnapping. But when baby Noah's adoption becomes entangled in the case, Benson fears for Noah's future and his safety. In an intense courtroom showdown, the SVU will face a threat that could change the squad forever.
Any guest stars of note?
I mean, fucking Robert John Burke and Peter Herman. Charles Halford, who I think is playing the fucking shithead dad. Emmy Rudnick is in it. Well, we've got Michael Kostroff coming back. So many recurring cast members in presumably the worst possible way.
Oh, God. Jesus. Yeah, I see that.
Oh, Lily Taylor's in it?
Weird.
Yeah, cool. So that's what we've got going on, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So rate and review the podcast. I mean it. Fucking do it.
Please
do it right now.
It helps a lot.
Right now. Rate
tell your
and
friends.
Review the podcast. Tell your friends. Tell your mailman. Tell your barber. Tell your hairstylist if you don't go to a barber. Tell your definitely tell your dry cleaner. Yep, dry cleaners love podcasts.
Tell your food cart guy if you go to a food cart.
Yep.
Yeah, get your coffee.
Tell your moms. Oh yeah, and I know friend of the pod, dedicated listener Marisa has a new cat named Elliot Bastard Belzer. And it's a cute little fucker. So, yeah.
Shout out to Elliot Bastard.
Yeah,
what a cutie.
Shout out to Elliot Bastard. Fantastic. Anyway, yeah. So I guess send us your SVU themed pets. And yeah, I fucking laughed my ass off when I saw that.
That's beautiful.
Anyway, so yeah. I don't know. Do all the things you're supposed to do. Follow us on the socials. Check out the subreddit. Do all that shit.
Yeah. Keep munching, guys. We'll see you next week.
Munch everyone, Benson.
It's part of the sects, isn't it?